Hi everyone, I wanted to make a video about knee pain. Knee pain is so common. And also the kinds of knee pain that you can have are so varied. So it's actually really difficult to make a video about knee pain because really different fixes are going to work for everyone. All that said, like if you actually got a laparoscope to go in there and see what was wrong with your knee, that wouldn't help very much. It doesn't really help to know exactly what's wrong because, again, like pain doesn't have a ton to do with the issue. Pain is how we cope with what's going on. So again, trying all these things I offer, see what works. Some will, some won't. Sorry, I have notes for this one because it's a little bit more complicated. And for that reason, like whenever I try like someone's prescription for knee pain, some things work, some things don't. That said, pain isn't your best bellwether of if it's an exercise you should or shouldn't be doing. Like for example, squats do cause me pain, but I definitely should be doing them because they build up the quads, the glutes, the hips. So that's the idea, finding some motions that alleviate pain, finding some motions that are gonna help you strengthen. If it helps you at all, my personal kind of genre of probably what's up with my knees, though I've never like delved too deeply into it in terms of like MRIs and stuff. It's probably some meniscus degradation because I was a teenage ballet dancer and that's almost certainly what happens with a lot of teenage athletes, and probably also some inflammation of my patellar tendon. So probably it would help me to ice more. I will do that one day. So things that feel really good for me are quad and hip releases. So one of my favorite quad releases is coming into a prone position and bringing one leg out to the side, kind of like a check mark. So my knee is level with my pelvis and it's bent at a right angle. Any kind of extension feels so good these days, both because my shoulders are tight from breastfeeding and still honestly because of like the tightness in my whole front line, deep front line, and especially around the scar. So in this position, that is a huge quad stretch for me. If it might not be for you, no big deal. If it is, do it. If it isn't, don't worry about it. You don't need a quad stretch. But I could hang out here for 15 minutes with a book and it would just be heaven. But I'm just gonna do a few of these here today. Just letting my like abdominal wall kind of fall. So the reason why this works is because the other leg being out to the side like this really stabilizes my pelvis. It keeps me in an anterior pelvic tilt, which is what makes the quadricep or the rectus femoris feel long. Please excuse my filthy feet. It's kind of an occupational hazard. I do clean in here, just I don't know how it gets so dusty. It's like I clean like 3 times a week and it's still dusty. Oh yeah, so good, so good. It really doesn't have the same, I do standing quad stretches all the time, not at all the same. Something that my other side, my knee's coming up and out to the side. I'm checking that it's level with my hip. Oh, got a hip pop coming. Oh my God. Yeah, really, really tight rectus femoris. Whew. Yeah, honestly, like in terms of, I was talking to a client the other day about breaking our homework up into kind of segments of stretches versus strength. And this stretch for me is probably something I should definitely be doing every day. I don't, unfortunately, just because life, you know, but if you had my genre of knee pain and you did this every day, it would help. Oh, I could do more of those, but okay, number 2. So the number 2 that actually feels really nice for me are knee circles. So our knees actually do have a lot of, like we do have the capacity for rotation in our knee joint. I'm bringing my feet all the way together just because it's easier to feel stable here. And they say that our knees have like 15 degrees of rotation. And that's one of the things I think when we have pain, we tend to lock down and get more rigid, which can put tension around the ligaments. So just coming into a little bit of rotation here helps to release. So it's gonna help me to engage all of the good stuff instead of just holding rigid and trying to lock down. This is kind of where Pilates is such a miracle because it's teaching us to articulate every joint independently. So we kind of work like a system instead of, you know, one rigid robot. That's a terrible metaphor, I'm sorry, I should come up with a better one. Yeah, those feel amazing. They feel so good on achy knees. So good on achy knees. And the last one that feels really good are tibialis extensors. So for that, you want to lean your bum against a wall. So I'm leaning against the wall here with my butt. You can lean in with the rest of your back, but I find we tend to become a little bit complacent with that posture. So I like to just keep my tailbone in the wall and lean the rest of my back forward. And I'm gonna lift my feet up and lower, honestly, as many times as I can, close to 50, 100, whatever you can squeeze in here. So what feels so lovely about this is that I'm working these muscles and ligaments and tendons that come up into my knee from the bottom. So supporting the kneecap from below really helps, like what I was talking about earlier, the inflammation of the patellar tendon. So I have this feeling of like the kneecap coming up into my pelvis, which just feels so nice. I'm already feeling some fatigue in my shins, so I know that it's working. So those three, quad stretch, knee circles, and tibialis extensors, so good, feeling really good. And now we should start talking about the things we should do that don't feel as good, but just are a necessary evil. One of them, not a necessary evil, they're necessary. One of them are side legs. Side legs are just so great for the butt. One of the best things you can do for your butt, regardless of like what the situation is, if it's knee pain or hip issues or low back, side legs help. I would use a band for those. I'm gonna show you those second. While I'm standing here in this position, I'm gonna show you some squats. Bands, this is what I do to make the squats a little bit less painful. So the band helps to engage the glute. So I'm putting a little bit of like tension out this way, which cues my glute medius on. So just I'm trying to turn sideways so you can see that I don't go particularly low. I've got my band as taut as it will go, and I'm just coming down to a little squat here. And again, if you can do 20 or 30, great. This really does help with the pain. I still have a little bit of pain, but it's not as bad as it would be without the band. Just because it's kind of a little bit of like they call it muscle confusion, when I'm just distracting the muscles, so I'm not locking into like a familiar pattern. Cueing the glutes, cueing the quads, cueing my hamstrings. And I'm gonna keep the band for lunges. So squats, and then lunges, same idea, keeping a lot of tension on the band. I'll show you with two angles. So one foot is back, and I'm gonna bend into this front knee and dip the back leg. 10, 9, and again, just keeping the band taut to cue my glutes. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And if you don't have an infinity band like this, you can use any kind of like long loop. If you don't have something like that, a scarf will be fine. Just something that's giving you feedback. Even tying a sweater around your legs. It doesn't need to be super springy. I'm having a little bit of pain in my back knee for whatever reason today, so I'm bringing my foot in a little bit closer and focusing on getting lower with my front knee, which is odd because this is usually my more painful leg. That's the thing also with knee pain though, is that it kind of keeps moving. It keeps shifting and changing. So you can get distracted sometimes by by chasing the pain in a way. So I like to kind of just find a routine like what I do here that works and just stick to it regardless of what's going on. Because the weather, sleep, stress, that's all gonna affect what you're feeling in your knees. And we'll come back to the Cadillac for the clam. You want your tool for clams. We're gonna loop it up and over the knees. And always using a little bit of support for the head. And just opening and closing. Again, if you can do a bunch of these, great. I wouldn't go past like 30. I'm probably only gonna do like 10 here just to show you, but you don't even necessarily need a prop for these. Doing them without a prop, you'll still feel it. But again, if you tend to have more pain, this is going to help. And we'll do the other side. We're gonna finish up clams with a number 4 stretch, or a piriformis stretch, because that helps knees as well. Some additional suggestions, it's having a foam roller. I think I've shared a foam roller series recently, so check that out for knee pain, that's really great. Basically there's lots that can be done for knee pain, you just have to do it. I think I've mentioned before, I'm very motivated by rewards, so I give myself like a check on a chart when I do these. Yeah, that's your number 4 stretch right there. It doesn't matter too much where this is. What's most important is where your pelvis is. So I'm taking my hand here just to bring my bottom thigh bone towards me. Flexing the feet keeps the collateral ligaments around your knee stable. And you want to stay there like a good long time. I'm probably being a little bit short about it. Ooh, that one's pretty tight. This has always been my tighter piriformis, but I don't do these enough. So I really hope that helps you. Please let me know. And if you have any questions about anything, please drop a comment.